You all look a bit grubby. I need to do other people at the back. I'll just sort of flick at the back. So the sea's there, so north's over there. So we're going to face that way. And what you want to do is put your hands like parallel to the floor. So anything like that. Okay, so we're going to welcome in the Guardians of the North. And we're here tonight to celebrate a story that has been created through lots and lots of wonderful women weaving together their magic and their mystery and all of the beautiful things that have been shared in the telling of this story, going around East Anglia and speaking to people who are from all different walks of life. It's the life-giving sun that warms us and makes the seeds erupt all over Earth. We welcome in the Guardians of the West. Welcome.
Welcome.
A lot of people that I want to thank, because this whole project is got a lot of gratitude involved in it, so there's a lot of thank yous. First of all, I want to thank the Marlborough Pub for hosting us this evening. The Marlborough Pub is just one of the gems in Brighton. It's probably like one of just 2 or 3 places that still has the proper heart and soul of Brighton in it. So I want to hear a huge round of applause for the Marlborough. I love it here, and the Marlborough's supported me every step of the way with all of my creative endeavours, so I really appreciate everything this place has to offer. Secondly, I want to thank my publisher Steve Rudd. Unfortunately, Steve's been really ill all year this year and has been in hospital, and he's not well at all. And so I had to get the book printed myself because he was unable to do it. Hence the fact that it's A4 size. I didn't realise you had to send it to them the size it was going to get printed. But this just means that you're all able to buy a really special first edition. It's not the one that's available on Amazon, it's like a magic spell book. It's extra special. So, yeah, and thank you, Steve, for everything. Like, Steve's been amazing and he supported me. It's called The Slush Pile. I sent him in my book Unsolicited, my first one, and he read it and published it, and so I really appreciate the fact that he found me in his slush pile. Such a gross word, but yeah. So thank you, Steve. Let's give him a round of applause. I also want to thank Mish Maudsley. She can't be here tonight because she's about to go away on holiday, which is fair enough. So she's the amazing designer who designed the front cover of my book, and she's literally designed everything in my life. She's designed my tattoos, and she's designed all the covers of my books, and pretty much every theatre show I've ever worked on. She's absolutely incredible, and we started out our careers together, and yeah, it's been a wonderful journey to be on with her. So huge thanks to Mish. Have a lovely holiday. My creative editor, Lisa Lister. So she can't be with us this evening because she's in LA, so that's also fair enough. So I took a load of books away to Glastonbury to do some research for Sisterhood, and one of the books I took with me was a book called Witch. And it was a huge inspiration, and it led to me like initiating myself up on Glastonbury tour, which got quite messy. Let's just say a moon cut was involved, and I hadn't thought it through. And yeah, she's just been such an inspiration in my life, and she's filled my year with cycles and ceremonies and magic, and yeah, she brings so much joyous stuff to the world, and I really love the fact that I found her and that she's now my friend because I stalked her long enough to be my friend. So yeah, thank you ever so much, Lisa. So huge round of applause for her. I also want to thank Sophia, Scarlett, Cara, Josie, Clara, Rebecca and Saffron for being my sacred sisters. Then also for Emlyn, who's my sacred husband. All of you rock my world, and I wouldn't be able to do any of this without you, so thank you for being here for me. I love you all. Give them a round of applause. And I also want to thank the Sisterhood creative team who helped to shape and form, first of all, the play and then the book. So all of those who came to Pond's Cottage last year and helped me create it, they're Jamie Ray Tanner, Alberta Jones, Jess Bernberg and Mish Maudsley again. And then also the women who helped me get the play onto the stage and who added their own words to the text.
and came with me to Edinburgh on tour. And that's Jules Craig. Where is she? She was here a minute ago. There she is. Jules Craig and Coco Martin, Sophia Craig Daffin, and Sian Webber and Sam Chittenden, who also supported us, and Daisy Fitzsimmons, who just left, who proofread the novel. So thank you to all you wonderful women for supporting. And then last but not least, I want to thank Andrea Brooks and Cara Kelson-Bailey. So I first met Andrea as a mentor through the New Deal in 2002, which was because we had Labour, which would have been nice. So basically, Labour funded me to become an artist, and they gave me Andrea as a mentor, and she quite literally shaped my life. She sat and drew out an A4 piece of paper, and everything she wrote on it I went on to do. Jonathan K. Fooling, Andrea, Angela Takata, clowning, all of the stuff. She was just like, go and do all these things. And then Cara, I met when, through Kentwell Hall, Tudor reenactment. She was 13 and I was 30, and she became my friend, and the first time I met her she was under the cart massaging Emmeline with a gaggle of other teenage girls. They were all told they were only allowed to massage the limbs, and it was to wind me up, which works. And so my first experience of Cara was getting a massive bell and ringing it under the cart really loudly, going, get that fuck out of there! Which they did, and they were terrified of me. And that's how our love began. But what's been amazing is I want to honour both these women because they've been my bestest of friends, and literally this book wouldn't have existed without them. I'm going to tell you a bit more about that later. So, what is Sisterhood? So Lisa Lister has very kindly provided the quote for the back of the book, which is really awesome. And she's described it as truthful, funny, painful, poignant and thought-provoking. Sisterhood isn't just telling stories, it's rewriting her story, our story. And that takes massive bloody ovaries. Thank the goddess for you, Jolie Booth. That's nice. So what's it all about? So I think with this novel, the most interesting question is how did it come about? So you need to strap in because this is quite a ride. So basically, it began in 2017 when I was invited to an ayahuasca ceremony by a shaman who I'd met when I was in my early 20s. And he just sort of kind of randomly out of nowhere asked me whether I wanted to go to another ceremony again. And I went to Holland to go to the ceremony, and I turned up, and someone who he'd cured of cancer had built him a red and yellow big top tent, like full size. So there was room for 200 people in this tent. And out the front there was a wooden sign that had the shaman with a big red nose on and a load of jaguar heads. And it said Circus Guguli, which is his name. And I just yeah, this is my church. This is like the coolest thing I've ever seen. And it had a sacred fire coming down into the middle. And we spent 2 nights there, and on the second night he dedicated the night to the divine feminine. He said, Mother Earth needs our love, and we're going to spend the whole night worshipping the earth, worshipping the goddess, but also all of the aspects of the goddess that are on earth, which were all the women in the tent, and the feminine in all of the, everyone has the feminine within them. So it was worshipping the feminine aspect. And I don't know about you, but being worshipped, really nice. The gods and goddesses are onto something. He didn't, no one came near us, no one did anything at us, it was just the intention, but we all, every now and then you catch eyes with another woman across the tent and you're just like, this is so good. We got worshipped for the whole night, and there was one point where I saw a gold beam of light come down through the middle of the tent and hit all the women in the tent. And the beam of light that hit me atomised, and I atomised and became a queen bee, which is like a pulsing larvae that's just constantly having sex. And I basically orgasmed for 2 hours, writhing on my bedsheet thing. I was like, this is really good, I'm enjoying this a lot. So that was lovely. And loads of other amazing things happened. I got pinned down at one point by a dog that was licking my face that wasn't there. Stuff like that, it was great. Giggling like a 5-year-old girl. The whole night was just incredible. And the next morning I came to, and I knew that I had to write a play called Sisterhood. And I knew that it had to be with Andrea and Cara, because the relationship that I have with Andrea and Cara is stewardship or mentorship, and I think it's something that we don't really acknowledge very much in our society, especially in women. I think you hear about it a bit more with men, but in the female line, what's amazing about people that are not of your generation is that there's room for people being exactly like you. I think in your peer group there can be a bit jostling for the same space, but when someone is the generation above you or below you, there's no competition, and so you can really be there for each other and when I met Andrea, I was so in awe of her. She was the most magical human being I've ever met, and I really felt like I was worried that I was just taking from her. And then when I met Cara and I could see that she felt similarly about me in the way that I'd felt about Andrea, I realised what I got from her. It was like, it's so wonderful to have someone kind of cheerleading you and just thinking, and questioning you. If you're suddenly not really hitting your usual mark or not really, they'll call you out. They're like, that's not what you think. And you're like, oh yeah, no, it's not, you're right. I was not being my best self, thank you for putting that up. But she's just a stand for me, and it just made me realise how it's like a line of hands holding hands, and it's wonderful, and I really value that relationship. So I knew that I wanted to make a play with these two women. So I managed to get some funding from the Arts Council. And this was all just fate. We went to, I was looking for an Airbnb where me, Cara and Andrea could stay, but also a creative team of women. So we took a graphic designer, lighting designer, a statistician, and a set designer. And we all went to find, I had to look for somewhere, or like in an Airbnb, that we could all stay. It just happened to be this cottage in Wilmington called Pond Cottage. And it's a beautiful thatched cottage. And we arrived there and it was Beltane, so there was the blossom on the trees falling down. There were jackdaws trapped in the fireplace when we arrived that had fallen down the chimney. There was lambs bleating, like the whole place was just completely erupting into life with spring, and it was stunning. And Andrea very quickly said, we don't need to worry about trying to write the best play in the world. The play's trying to tell itself, it's in the ether. All we have to do is get out of the way and let it come through. She then said, did you know there's a really cool church up the road from this house? And we're like, oh, should we go up there? So we had our dinner and then we went up to see this church. And in the churchyard was this 2,000-year-old yew tree that was the most stunning thing I've ever seen. It had like walking sticks holding it up, it had chains holding up the branches. And it just, that's a face from it. That's my friend that I met in one of the branches. And it was just stunning, this yew tree. And it was, 2,000 years old. And then the church was only 1,100 years old. So the yew tree had been there a lot longer and was already a sacred site, and the reason why the church was built there. And when we went into the church, there was this incredible stained glass window where there'd been a fire. The stained glass window's up there. So there'd been a fire and an arson attack, and the original window had smashed, and it had been rebuilt by an artist who'd then put the phoenix into it. And we sat there in the golden hour with the light shining through that window with the flames of the phoenix cast over all our faces. And Andrea said, do you know that back in the day, if people were accused of, or if anyone was accused of anything, if you were in a small village, you didn't have a lockup and you didn't have a prison, then you would be locked up in the church, and so this would be used as a holding cell. And someone else said, so what, like if you were accused of being a witch? And we're like, yeah. And then we all sort of sat there in silence for a bit, and then it's like, this is the play. So the play and then the book is that there's 3 women aged 20, 14, 60 who are locked in a church, and in the morning they're going to face their trial for witchcraft. And it's about how they support each other and get each other through the night, and it's the wisdom that they share. We've got our Marjorie over there. So Jules plays Marjorie, who's the 60-year-old in the show. She's not 60, she's nothing like that. And it was amazing. And we then went back to the cottage and we emptied out the larder, and we basically improvised the whole story within this larder, like pretending we were in the church. So, I'm going to read you a bit of the book. And I'm going to start at the beginning because it's quite hard to dip into this. So what ended up happening, in the play, we all break the 4th wall at different points, the 3 actresses, and we come forward and we speak as ourselves. In the book, I wrote the 3 modern women as full characters, so there's 6 characters in the book rather than just the 3 Tudor women. And there's also the goddess, who was based on Sophia. It is Beltane, huzzah! And I, she, Earth, I'm in love. Darlings, I'm in love. The air positively tinkles with my joy. Having given birth, back at Imbolc, to a sparkling, beautiful young boy, after being so desperately sad that his father, the sun, died last Samhain, and left me here heartbroken and alone, still I carried on regardless. I mean, what else is one meant to do? Through the long, dark, lonely winter months, growing the babe in my cauldron of power, my magnificent womb, enduring the sadness of isolation and my desperate mourning. Then, on February the 1st, my baby was born, an Aquarius. And the boy I gave birth to, he was the most beautiful babe this universe has ever seen, according to me, which is a mother's prerogative. He was sprightly and rambunctious. He had little cloven hooves and tiny little buds on his forehead that would one day grow to be magnificent antlers. He skipped and bounced all over the newly blossoming landscape, and he grew and he grew and he grew. And he grew strong and handsome, headstrong, independent, progressive and original. He had the most cheeky, lopsided grin, foppish blonde hair, sparkling green eyes, a lascivious laugh, and all over naughty disposition. And now he is a young man with a swagger in his stride, broad shoulders, a rippling chest, shapely strong forearms, and a fine pair of antlers. His musky odour smells like rutting sex. And of course, I also shed my skin with his birth and returned to my maiden state. So the smell of him is driving me utterly wild. My legs swish together with light translucent goo whenever he comes anywhere near me, or even just at the thought of him. If I hear him playing his pipes up on the hills, then I positively squeal with delight. He fills my every waking second. I love him, and he is utterly worthy of my love. We are made for each other. Everything of me, the earth, grows towards him, the light, the sun. And so does everything else in my dominion. In Wilmington, East Sussex, the yew tree shed her skin too, splitting her trunk open suggestively to reveal fresh, smooth bark beneath, as she shimmers dangerous, outstretched needles towards her true love, the long man on the hill. Etched into the side of the downs, north side, so onlookers face into his radiance, he shines back at her, newly chalked white for the day's festivities. For he is Belenus, the sun god, the fair shining one, and today we are celebrating him. The bee flies from bloom to bloom, ravenous after his long slumber. The seductive flowers flaunt their stamens with delicious passages, beckoning in bees with promises of sweet and sticky pollen. Their vivid colours and scents heady with possibility, intoxicating every hungry beastie. Carpets of bluebells shimmer in chiffon drapes across the forest floor, heavy in dusty perfume, and glistening in waves of lilac and cobalt blue, edged with puffs of Queen Anne's lace, and the smell of wild garlic catches on the nose beneath the shadier canopies as the air pricks to the shrill beats of the fresh chiff-chaffs, welcoming home summer visitors returning on the wing. The jackdaw caws in satisfaction at his choice of chimney stack, which he's begun to build his nest in. He shouts his boastations like a 50-a-day smoker. Prancing lambs bleat excitedly in the fields, desperately seeking lost mothers who call back loud but nonchalant, heavy from their grazing spots. The fields, now lush green and healed from the muddy browns of winter spoil, and the cherry and apple blossoms bend their boughs heavily, vibrant against the bright blue sky, mirroring plump clouds up in the skies beyond. The bulging clusters of delicate pink and white blooms scent the breeze, which is still chilled with a touch of Jack Frost's fingers, but quickly losing the battle against an ever-fattening sun. Pairs of brimstones and cabbage whites flutter by, dancing in twists and turns about the breeze, welcoming in the merry month of May. The cuckoo sings, the dragonfly takes his first flight, and the hedgehog wakes. All are about their business. Once more I have given birth to a multitude of little lives. Brothers and sisters scatter across the land, each with their own needs and desires, all intertwined. Every year is different, yet every year is the same. Everything is connected. Thousands upon thousands of turns of the wheel spiral onwards in a cycle of seasons, creaking forwards in progression towards what will eventually be all of our ultimate demise. I have no favourites. I'm fair in all, for I am the great mother. You are all given the same serving under my dominion. You are all given a life. Thank you very much.
The
Blackstone represents a feminine. It could be a man who you feel has a feminine aspect. It could be any kind of revealing of the feminine, but where someone has really inspired you through their kind of compassion or whatever it is that you think of as the feminine. So the Blackstone represents someone who's really inspired you, who's given you strength that you want to honour and remember tonight. We put them down in the middle, and we all put our stones in the middle. And the white stone is a hope that we have for the future. And this is thinking very much about the earth and the mother and the feminine aspects as well. Okay, so I'm going to start. God, it's really difficult with all the women that have been involved in this project, but I mean, it's the feminine, basically. I want to celebrate all of the women that I know and all of the feminine aspects and all of the people that I know. It feels like there's a waking up happening. One of the things that I saw in the ayahuasca ceremony was the Worldwide Women's Web, which was a web around the earth. And it was basically that we'd been naughty and Mother Earth was waking up and she was coming down the stairs and she's going to chuck us all out if we don't sort everything out. And there's an element of like the feminine waking up. Yeah, you're all out unless you sort this out. But the feminine is waking up and everyone's going, quick, we need to sort everything out, clear up quick, do all the stuff before she gets downstairs. So thank you for sending the idea of sisterhood into me and for this amazing journey that's happened and the adventure that I've been on. And my hope for the future is, I do feel like she knows what she's doing and that this is all kind of meant to be happening. But I do hope that we soon start enjoying how beautiful the world is rather than getting fixated on these stupid plays and stories that are bullshit.